When interviewing desert children from 4 different cultures a couple of years ago, I realized that they only had about a third of the knowledge about the most common plants and animals in their immediate surroundings that their grandparents did.
Gary Nabhan is an excellent example of the marriage of scientific training and literary skill. Nabhan is a trained ethnobotanist. He has his Ph.D. In intensive work in the Sonora Desert and the Autumn and Papago indigenous peoples.
We need the reminders of our connection with the natural world communicated to us by our families, not just abstractly in terms of its importance in a textbook about ecology. And I think that's one of the key things that I see as a shift that we now have to deal with. Our natural surroundings are our habitats, our homes. They have been for millions of years. The perceptual faculties that we have been shaped by the natural world, and yet now there's a tendency to treat those habitats, our homes, merely as scenery, something that we visit perhaps only for recreation, but we distance ourselves from them. I think we have to turn that whole notion inside out and make the natural world our habitat, our home again, in the fullest sense, to remember that, and to remember that there are other creatures besides our own species on this planet that we depend on, that nourish our lives. I like E.O. Wilson's term biophilia, that we have a genetic predilection for contact and pleasure in other creatures in the natural world, that we're predisposed to having our minds work to imagine what other lives are like, to take pleasure in how they're different from we are, to take pleasure in the sights and sounds of birds or of fish or of butterflies. And so it is not an elite preoccupation or recreational pursuit of people to be naturalists. It's what we are at our most basic level. And children remind us of this. I see computers as a double-edged sword. If science education only becomes computer-mediated education, I feel that we're really losing out, because increasingly we're taking kids away from field trips and from hikes at nature centers and saying, you can learn all of that on the computer. On the other hand, there are some wonderful programs now in the U.S., like one called Journey North, where kids in 1,000 schools across the U.S., Mexico, and Canada are tracking the northern migration of 16 species, from gray whales to monarch butterflies. To use the computer network, they have to go out and make local observations. So they really can't participate unless they're actively observing the seasonal changes in their own backyards. And again, that's what I think is great about empowering children to be homegrown scientists. They're learning to make observations about the natural world in their immediate surroundings, and then they're relating them to larger patterns. And I think we need both of those components. It's not that computers are necessarily bad or good, or that TV is bad or good. It's how we integrate them into our lives.